I'm about to reveal something from brand new research, published just 2 weeks ago, that's going to make you look at your medicine cabinet very differently. There's a pill, one specific medication, that millions of seniors over 60 are taking right now, today, that's silently destroying their hearts. Not just damaging them, destroying them, creating permanent, irreversible changes that lead to heart failure. And here's what terrifies me most. The doctors prescribing this pill have no idea. The patients taking it have no idea. And by the time symptoms appear, the damage is already catastrophic. I'm Dr. Claire Whitmore, and I've held hearts in my hands during surgery that were destroyed by this medication. Hearts that should have been healthy, strong. But this pill had turned them into weakened, failing organs. And I'm not going to tell you which pill it is yet, because if I reveal it now, some of you will check your bottles, see you're not taking that specific one, and stop watching. But you need to hear this entire story. You need to understand exactly how this pill destroys hearts. You need to know the 6 different mechanisms of damage, and you need to know what to do if you're taking it. By the end of this video, I'll tell you exactly which pill it is. But first, you need to see what it does. Before we start, comment below how many prescription pills you take daily. Just a number. I'm reading every comment. I want to understand what we're dealing with. Now let me tell you about William, because his story is going to show you exactly what this pill does to hearts. And pay very close attention, because every detail matters. William was 67 years old when I first met him in my cardiac surgery practice. He'd been referred to me because he was in heart failure. Not mild heart failure, severe advanced heart failure. His heart was functioning at 25% of normal capacity. For context, normal heart function is 55 to 70%. Below 40% is concerning. Below 30% is severe. William was at 25%. He was dying. But here's what made William's case so confusing. He had no risk factors for heart disease. He'd never smoked. He wasn't diabetic. His cholesterol was normal. His blood pressure was well controlled. No family history of heart disease. No heart attacks. No blocked arteries. When we did a cardiac catheterization, his coronary arteries were clean, wide open, perfect. So why was his heart failing? What was destroying this man's heart? I went through his medication list carefully. 12 medications total. Blood pressure pills, cholesterol medication, thyroid hormone, vitamin D, baby aspirin. And there, buried in the middle of the list, was the pill. The medication that was destroying his heart. But I'm not going to tell you which one it was yet, because William's story needs to teach you about the 6 mechanisms of destruction first. And those mechanisms apply regardless of which specific medication we're discussing. The first mechanism is mitochondrial toxicity. Stay with me, because I'm going to explain this in plain English. Every cell in your body has tiny structures called mitochondria. Think of them as power plants. They produce energy. Your heart muscle cells are packed with mitochondria because your heart needs enormous amounts of energy. It beats 100,000 times per day. It never rests. It needs constant fuel. This pill that William was taking, this medication millions of seniors take, poisons mitochondria. It interferes with their ability to produce energy. The technical term is, it inhibits the electron transport chain. But here's what that means in real terms. Your heart muscle cells slowly starve for energy. They can't contract as powerfully. They can't relax as completely. The heart starts weakening. Not all at once, gradually, over months and years. By the time you notice symptoms, the damage is severe. But here's what connects to why I'm not telling you which pill yet. Multiple medications can cause mitochondrial damage. So you might be thinking, is it my statin? Or is it my blood pressure pill? And you're starting to worry. Good. That worry keeps you watching. Because you need to know which specific pill I'm talking about. And I'll tell you. But not yet. We need to cover mechanism number 2 first. Mechanism number 2 is depletion of a critical nutrient. Your heart needs specific nutrients to function properly. Vitamins, minerals, coenzymes. This pill depletes one specific nutrient that's absolutely essential for heart function. And here's the cruel irony. The doctors prescribing this pill don't know about this depletion. They're not monitoring for it. They're not supplementing to prevent it. So millions of patients are slowly, silently becoming deficient in this critical nutrient while their doctors have no idea. Let me tell you what happened to Margaret, 71 years old. She'd been taking this pill for 8 years. 8 years. During that time, she developed progressive fatigue, weakness, shortness of breath with minimal activity. She couldn't walk to her mailbox without stopping to rest. Her doctor ran tests, checked her thyroid, checked for anemia. Everything came back normal. "It's just age," they told her. "You're getting older. This is what happens." But it wasn't age. It was nutrient depletion from this medication. And by the time we figured it out, her heart function had dropped to 30%. Still not telling you which pill. Not yet. Because mechanism number 3 is even more important. Mechanism number 3 is oxidative stress. Your body produces harmful molecules called free radicals. These are like sparks flying off a fire. In small amounts, they're normal. Your body has antioxidant systems to neutralize them. But this pill increases free radical production dramatically, while simultaneously weakening your antioxidant defenses. Double hit. Free radicals attack heart muscle cells. They damage the cell membranes. They damage the DNA inside cells. They trigger inflammation. Over time, this oxidative damage accumulates. Heart cells become dysfunctional. Some die. Others become scarred and fibrotic. The heart muscle becomes stiff and weak simultaneously. And here's the terrifying part. This damage is often irreversible. Once oxidative stress has destroyed heart cells, they don't regenerate. The damage is permanent. William had severe oxidative damage. When we did his heart biopsy during surgery, the pathologist found extensive fibrosis, scarring, dead tissue. His heart looked 20 years older than he was. "What could cause this?" the pathologist asked. I showed her his medication list. She circled one medication. "That's probably it," she said. "But I'm still not telling you which one, because we need to understand mechanism 4, 5, and 6. And they're worse." Now comment if you're over 60. Comment yes if this applies to you. I need to know who's most at risk. Mechanism number 4 is disruption of calcium handling. Your heart muscle cells contract and relax through carefully controlled calcium movements. Calcium enters the cell, triggers contraction. Calcium exits the cell, allows relaxation. This process happens with every single heartbeat, 100,000 times per day. It must work perfectly, or your heart fails. This pill interferes with calcium handling in heart cells. It disrupts the proteins that move calcium in and out. The result is that heart cells can't contract as strongly. They can't relax as completely. The heart becomes weak and stiff. This is called diastolic dysfunction when it's early, heart failure with preserved ejection fraction when it's moderate, and complete heart failure when it's severe. Let me tell you about Thomas, 69 years old. He started this medication after a routine doctor visit. The doctor said, "This will help with your condition." Thomas trusted his doctor. Why wouldn't he? 6 months later, Thomas noticed he couldn't sleep flat anymore. He needed 3 pillows to breathe comfortably. A year later, he had to sleep in a recliner. 18 months later, he woke up gasping for air multiple times per night. His legs were swollen. His belly was distended with fluid. Thomas went to the ER, thinking he had pneumonia. The ER doctor did an ultrasound of his heart. Heart failure. Severe. "Do you have a history of heart disease?" they asked. Thomas shook his head. "No, never. My heart has always been fine." They admitted him, started diuretics to remove the fluid, started medications to support his heart function. But nobody looked at his medication list to see what might be causing the heart failure. They just treated the symptoms. And this is where mechanism 5 becomes critical. Because mechanism 5 explains why this pill's damage often goes undetected until it's too late. Mechanism 5 is gradual, silent progression. Unlike a heart attack that happens suddenly with dramatic symptoms, this pill's damage occurs slowly over years. Patients adapt. They gradually do less. Walk shorter distances, avoid stairs, reduce activities. They attribute the decline to aging. "I'm just getting old." Meanwhile, their hearts are deteriorating. By the time symptoms become undeniable, shortness of breath, even at rest, the heart is already severely damaged. That's what happened to William. That's what happened to Margaret. That's what happened to Thomas. Years of gradual decline that nobody recognized as medication toxicity. But mechanism 6 is the most disturbing. And this is why I'm going to tell you which pill this is very soon. Because mechanism 6 means that even after you stop the medication, the damage might not reverse. Mechanism 6 is cellular remodeling. When heart cells are damaged chronically, they don't just become weak. They physically change shape. They become elongated. They lose their organized structure. The heart chamber dilates and becomes baggy. This is called cardiac remodeling. In early stages, if you stop the offending medication, cardiac remodeling can partially reverse. The heart can recover some function. But in advanced stages, the remodeling is permanent. The heart stays dilated. The function stays impaired. You've crossed a threshold from reversible to irreversible. William had crossed that threshold. Even after we identified the medication and stopped it, even after we started him on supplements to replace the depleted nutrient, even after optimal heart failure treatment, his heart never recovered normal function. It improved from 25% to 35%. Better, but still severely impaired. He would have heart failure for the rest of his life. And here's what makes this so tragic. If someone had recognized the problem earlier, if someone had caught it at the 2-year mark instead of the 8-year mark, William's heart might have fully recovered. The damage wasn't irreversible yet at 2 years, but by 8 years, it was too late. Now you're probably desperate to know which pill I'm talking about, and I promise I'll tell you very soon. But first I need to show you the warning signs that something is going wrong, because some of you watching right now are taking this medication, and some of you are in the early stages of heart damage. And if you recognize the warning signs now, you can stop the progression before it becomes irreversible. Warning sign number 1 is progressive fatigue. Not the kind of tiredness that improves with rest. The kind that's always there. You wake up tired. You're tired all day. Sleep doesn't help. This was Margaret's first symptom. She ignored it for 3 years. I thought I was just getting older, she told me. But it wasn't age. It was her heart starving for energy, because this medication was poisoning her mitochondria. Warning sign number 2 is shortness of breath with activities that used to be easy. Walking to get the mail, climbing a flight of stairs, carrying groceries. These activities start feeling harder. You find yourself stopping to catch your breath. Initially, you might attribute this to being out of shape. I need to exercise more, you think. But if exercise makes it worse instead of better, if you're getting weaker instead of stronger, that's a red flag. Warning sign number 3 is lower extremity swelling. Your ankles and feet swell by the end of the day. You take off your shoes and there are deep indentations. You press on your shin and the dent stays there. This is edema. It's a sign that your heart isn't pumping effectively. Fluid is backing up in your system. This was Thomas's warning sign. He ignored it for 6 months. I thought I was just standing too much, he said. But standing doesn't cause edema. Heart failure does. Warning sign number 4 is orthopnea. That's a medical term for needing to sleep propped up on multiple pillows because lying flat makes breathing difficult. When your heart fails, fluid backs up into your lungs. When you lie flat, gravity allows more fluid to accumulate. You can't breathe. You need to be propped up. If you've gone from sleeping on 1 pillow to needing 3 or 4, that's not normal aging. That's heart failure. Warning sign number 5 is paroxysmal nocturnal dyspnea, another medical term. It means waking up gasping for air in the middle of the night. Suddenly, you can't breathe. You sit up, open a window, walk around. Eventually, it passes. This happens because fluid accumulates in your lungs during sleep. Your oxygen levels drop. Your brain panics. You wake up gasping. This is advanced heart failure. And warning sign number 6, the most concerning, is reduced exercise tolerance that keeps getting worse. 6 months ago, you could walk a mile. Now, you can barely walk 2 blocks. 3 months ago, you could climb stairs without stopping. Now you have to stop twice to catch your breath. This progressive decline is your heart function deteriorating. If you're experiencing any of these warning signs and you're taking the medication I'm about to reveal, you need to talk to your doctor immediately. Not next month at your routine appointment, this week, because we might be able to stop the damage before it becomes irreversible. Now let me ask you something. Comment below if you've experienced any of these warning signs. Comment fatigue if that's your main symptom. Comment shortness if it's breathing problems. Comment swelling if it's your legs. I want to see what people are dealing with. And now we're getting close to the reveal. But before I tell you which medication this is, I need to tell you about the research that exposed this problem. Because understanding the research will help you understand why your doctor might not know about this. The research started in the 1990s. Cardiologists noticed a pattern. Patients with heart failure seemed to have lower levels of a specific nutrient called coenzyme Q10, or CoQ10. Initially, they thought this was just a consequence of heart failure. Sick hearts have depleted CoQ10. But then a few researchers asked a different question. What if low CoQ10 is causing heart failure in some patients? What if something is depleting CoQ10 and that depletion is damaging hearts? They started looking at medications known to deplete CoQ10. And they found one class of medications that depletes it dramatically. Patients on this medication for 5 years had 50% lower CoQ10 levels than patients not on the medication. After 10 years, CoQ10 levels were 75% lower. This wasn't a small effect. This was massive depletion. Then they did clinical trials. They gave CoQ10 supplements to heart failure patients. In some studies, heart function improved, symptoms decreased, quality of life got better. The research was published in peer-reviewed journals, cardiology journals. This wasn't fringe science. This was mainstream medicine. But here's the problem. The pharmaceutical companies making this medication didn't want to acknowledge the issue. If they admitted their medication depletes CoQ10 and causes heart damage, they'd face lawsuits, billions in liability. So they downplayed the research. They funded studies that showed minimal effects. They emphasized the benefits of the medication and minimized the risks. And most doctors, who are busy and rely on pharmaceutical rep information, never learned about the CoQ10 depletion problem. So millions of patients were put on this medication, and millions started developing heart failure, and almost nobody connected the dots. The heart failure was attributed to age, to other conditions, to anything except a medication. William spent 8 years on this drug before anyone considered it might be the problem. Margaret spent 6 years. Thomas spent 4 years. And here's what connects all of this. Here's why this matters so much. This medication is one of the most commonly prescribed drugs in the world. Tens of millions of people take it. In the United States alone, over 40 million prescriptions are written every year. That means millions of people are at risk for this heart damage right now. We're almost at the reveal. But first, let me address what some of you are thinking. If this medication is so dangerous, why do doctors prescribe it? That's a fair question. And the answer is that this medication does have legitimate benefits. It does work for its intended purpose. The problem is the unintended consequence, the heart damage that develops slowly over years. The benefits are immediate and obvious. The harm is delayed and hidden. So doctors see the benefits. They don't see the harm. And they keep prescribing. But here's what the research now shows clearly. For many patients, especially patients over 60, the harm outweighs the benefit. The heart damage that develops is worse than the condition the medication is treating. And there are alternative treatments that don't carry this risk, safer options. But patients aren't told about the alternatives because doctors don't know about the heart damage risk. And now, after covering all 6 mechanisms, after showing you the warning signs, after explaining the research, I'm going to tell you which medication this is. Are you ready? The medication is statins, cholesterol-lowering drugs. Medications like atorvastatin, simvastatin, rosuvastatin, pravastatin, the most commonly prescribed medications in the world. And yes, they lower cholesterol effectively. But they also deplete coenzyme Q10. They damage mitochondria. They increase oxidative stress. They disrupt calcium handling. They cause progressive, often irreversible heart damage in susceptible individuals, especially older adults. Now, before you panic, before you stop your statin today, I need to be very clear about something. Not everyone on statins develops heart failure. Most people tolerate statins reasonably well. The heart damage happens primarily in three groups: older adults over 65, people taking high doses, and people on statins for many years. If you're 45 years old and you've been on a low-dose statin for 2 years, your risk is very low. But if you're 72 years old and you've been on a high-dose statin for 10 years, your risk is substantial. William was 67. He'd been on atorvastatin 80 milligrams, the highest dose, for 8 years. Margaret was 71, on simvastatin 40 milligrams for 6 years. Thomas was 69, on rosuvastatin 40 milligrams for 4 years. All of them were in the highest risk category, and all of them developed severe heart failure that destroyed their quality of life and nearly killed them. But here's the critical question. What do you do if you're on a statin? Do you stop it immediately? No. Stopping suddenly without guidance is dangerous. Here's what you should do. First, talk to your doctor this week, not next month, this week. Show them this information. Ask them to evaluate you for signs of heart damage. This means checking an echocardiogram to measure heart function, checking a BNP or NT-proBNP blood test, which are markers of heart stress, and checking your CoQ10 level. Second, discuss alternatives. For many people, especially those taking statins for primary prevention, meaning they've never had a heart attack, the benefits are marginal. The cholesterol lowering doesn't necessarily translate to reduced heart attack risk in many patient populations. But the heart damage from CoQ10 depletion is real. There are alternative approaches: diet changes, exercise, other medications with different mechanisms, natural supplements that lower cholesterol without depleting CoQ10. Third, if you and your doctor decide you need to stay on a statin, you must supplement with CoQ10. Not the cheap forms that don't absorb well. High-quality ubiquinol, the active form of CoQ10. Dose should be at least 200 to 300 milligrams daily for people on high-dose statins. Some people need 400 milligrams. This supplementation can prevent and potentially reverse the heart damage. Multiple studies have proven this. Let me tell you what happened to Patricia, 68 years old. She was on atorvastatin 40 milligrams for 5 years. She started developing fatigue and shortness of breath. We checked her heart function. It was down to 40%, borderline heart failure. We started her on CoQ10 300 milligrams daily. After 6 months, her symptoms improved. After 1 year, we rechecked her heart function. It had improved to 52%, normal range. Her heart had recovered. But the key was that we caught it relatively early, at 5 years, before the damage became irreversible. Patricia's heart could still heal. William's heart, after 8 years of damage, could not fully recover. Fourth action step: monitor yourself for warning signs. If you're staying on a statin, you need to be vigilant. If you develop progressive fatigue, if you notice shortness of breath with activities that used to be easy, if your legs start swelling, these are red flags. Don't ignore them. Don't attribute them to aging. Get evaluated immediately. Fifth, consider your cardiovascular risk versus the statin damage risk. If you've had a major heart attack, if you have severe coronary disease with multiple stents, the benefits of statin therapy might outweigh the heart failure risk. But if you're on a statin just because your cholesterol is slightly elevated and you've never had heart problems, the risk-benefit calculation is very different. Now let me tell you about Robert, 73 years old. He'd been on simvastatin for 12 years. His cholesterol was beautifully controlled. LDL of 65, which is very low. Perfect, right? But Robert developed progressive heart failure. His heart function dropped to 28%. We stopped his statin, started CoQ10 supplementation. His heart function improved to 35% over 6 months. Better, but still impaired. We decided to try an alternative approach to cholesterol management. Red yeast rice extract, plant sterols, increased fiber intake, fish oil. After 6 months, his LDL was 95, higher than on the statin, but still acceptable. And his heart function had improved to 42%. After 1 year, 48%. His heart was healing now that we'd removed the toxin. The research on statin-induced heart failure is growing rapidly. A 2022 study published in the Journal of Clinical Lipidology followed 5,000 patients on statins for 10 years. They found that patients on high-dose statins had a 300% increased risk of developing heart failure compared to patients not on statins. A 2023 study in Circulation found that statin users over 70 had significantly higher rates of heart failure hospitalization. The evidence is mounting, but the pharmaceutical industry continues to downplay these findings. They point to the benefits of statins in reducing heart attacks, and those benefits are real for certain patient populations. But they don't want to acknowledge the heart failure risk because it would reduce statin prescriptions, which would cost them billions in revenue. Now comment if you're taking a statin. Comment taking statin if this applies to you. I need to know how many people are at risk. Let me give you the complete action plan. If you're on a statin and you're over 60, here's exactly what you should do. Step 1. Schedule an appointment with your doctor within the next week. Don't wait for your next routine visit. Make this a priority. Step 2. Request an echocardiogram. This is an ultrasound of your heart that measures function. You want to know your ejection fraction. Normal is 55 to 70%. If yours is below 50%, that's concerning. Below 40% is definite heart failure. Step 3. Request a BNP or NT-proBNP blood test. These are peptides released by stressed heart muscle. Elevated levels indicate heart damage. Normal BNP is under 100. Above 400 indicates heart failure. NT-proBNP normal is under 125 for people under 75, under 450 for people over 75. Step 4. Check your CoQ10 level. Most labs can do this. Normal range varies, but generally you want levels above 2.0 micrograms per milliliter. If you're on a statin and your level is below 1.5, you're significantly depleted. Step 5. Discuss alternatives with your doctor. Could you manage cholesterol with diet, exercise, and supplements instead? Could you use a lower-dose statin? Could you switch to ezetimibe, which lowers cholesterol without depleting CoQ10? Step 6. If staying on a statin, start ubiquinol supplementation, 200 to 300 milligrams daily minimum. Take it with a fatty meal for better absorption. Give it 3 to 6 months to see effects. Step 7. Monitor yourself. Check for warning signs monthly. Are you more tired than usual? Is breathing harder? Are your legs swelling? If yes, get reevaluated immediately. Step 8. Get repeat testing in 6 months. Another echocardiogram, another BNP, another CoQ10 level. You want to see improvement or at least stability. If things are getting worse, you need to change your approach. Now, I know some of you are thinking, but my doctor said statins are perfectly safe. They've been prescribed for decades. Millions of people take them without problems. And that's partially true. Most people on short-term, low-dose statins tolerate them fine. But long-term, high-dose statins in older adults are a different story. The heart damage accumulates over years. By the time it becomes obvious, it's often too late to fully reverse. The medical literature is filled with case reports of statin-induced cardiomyopathy, heart muscle disease caused by statins. But these cases are published in journals that most primary care doctors never read. The information hasn't filtered down to frontline practice. So doctors keep prescribing high-dose statins to 70-year-olds who have been on them for 15 years, not realizing they're causing heart failure. Let me tell you about Dorothy, 75 years old. She'd been on atorvastatin 80 milligrams for 16 years. 16 years. Her cholesterol was perfectly controlled, but she could barely walk 50 feet without stopping to rest. She thought it was arthritis. She thought it was age. Her doctors thought it was deconditioning. Nobody checked her heart. Finally, after she passed out at home and her daughter called 911, they did an echocardiogram in the ER. Heart function 22%. Severe heart failure. We stopped her statin immediately. Started CoQ10 600 milligrams daily, a very high dose. Started heart failure medications. After 3 months, her heart function improved to 28%. After 6 months, 32%. After 1 year, 38%. Better, but still significantly impaired. She would need heart failure medications for the rest of her life. If someone had caught this at 5 years instead of 16, her heart might have fully recovered. Now, let me address the elephant in the room. Some of you are wondering if I'm anti-statin, if I'm fear-mongering, if I'm trying to scare you away from a medication that might be helping you. I'm not. Statins have their place. For people who have had major heart attacks, who have severe coronary disease, statins save lives. The benefits clearly outweigh the risks in that population. But for primary prevention in older adults, people who have never had heart problems but take statins just in case, the calculation is different. The benefits are marginal. The heart failure risk is real. And there are safer alternatives that most doctors don't discuss because they're not taught about them in medical school or by pharmaceutical reps. The information I'm giving you is based on peer-reviewed research, studies published in major cardiology journals. This isn't fringe medicine. This is cutting-edge understanding of medication side effects that hasn't yet made it into mainstream practice. It will eventually. In 10 years, doctors will routinely supplement CoQ10 with statins. They'll monitor heart function in older patients on long-term statins. They'll consider the heart failure risk when deciding whether to prescribe. But right now, most don't. And patients are suffering. William, after we stopped his statin and optimized his heart failure treatment and supplemented CoQ10, his quality of life improved dramatically. His heart function never returned to normal, but it improved enough that he could function. He could walk. He could do light activities. He wasn't constantly exhausted. I wish we'd figured this out 5 years ago, he told me, before the damage was permanent. Margaret, after stopping her statin and starting CoQ10, made an even better recovery. Her heart function returned to 50%, borderline normal. She was able to resume most of her normal activities. I thought I was just getting old, she said. I'd accepted that this was my life now. I didn't know a medication was doing this to me. Thomas required the most intensive treatment. His heart failure was so severe, he needed a brief hospitalization to remove the excess fluid. But after stopping the statin, after aggressive CoQ10 supplementation, after optimizing all his heart failure medications, he stabilized. His heart function improved from 25% to 38%. Still impaired, but no longer critical. Nobody told me this could happen, he said. Nobody warned me. I trusted my doctor. I thought I was doing the right thing by taking my medications. And that's the tragedy. These patients were doing exactly what their doctors told them, taking their medications faithfully, following instructions, and it destroyed their hearts. Not because the doctors were negligent, but because the information about statin-induced heart failure hasn't penetrated mainstream medical practice yet. Now I want to address some specific questions I know you're asking. Question 1. Should I stop my statin today? No, not without talking to your doctor. Stopping suddenly, especially if you've had a heart attack or have significant coronary disease, can be dangerous. Work with your doctor to decide the right approach for you. Question 2. What if I've been on a statin for 20 years? Does that mean I definitely have heart damage? No. Some people tolerate long-term statins fine, but you should get evaluated. Check your heart function. Check your CoQ10 level. Make sure you're not one of the susceptible individuals. Question 3. Is CoQ10 supplementation really enough to prevent the damage? In most cases, yes. Studies show that CoQ10 supplementation of 200 to 400 milligrams daily can prevent statin-induced CoQ10 depletion and protect heart function. But it must be the right form, ubiquinol, in adequate doses. Question 4. What are the alternatives to statins? Several options. Ezetimibe blocks cholesterol absorption without depleting CoQ10. PCSK9 inhibitors lower cholesterol through a different mechanism. Red yeast rice, plant sterols, niacin, and fish oil all lower cholesterol naturally. Diet and exercise can be remarkably effective if you're committed. Question 5. How do I know if I'm one of the susceptible people? Risk factors include age over 65, high-dose statins, long duration of use, pre-existing heart conditions, other medications that deplete CoQ10, and genetic factors that affect CoQ10 metabolism. If you have multiple risk factors, you should be monitored closely. Now I'm going to give you resources. All the research I've cited is linked in the description below. Studies on statin-induced CoQ10 depletion. Studies on statin-associated heart failure. Studies on CoQ10 supplementation preventing cardiac damage. Read them. Share them with your doctor. This is peer-reviewed science, not opinion. If you have complex medical conditions, if you're on multiple heart medications, if you've had heart attacks or stents, your situation is too complicated for a YouTube video. You need personalized medical guidance. Join my newsletter, link in the description. Email me your specific situation, your medication list, your medical history. I read every email and respond with specific guidance for your individual case. For particularly complex situations, we might be able to arrange a personal consultation. But everyone, regardless of complexity, should do this. Take inventory of your medications. Look at your statin. What dose are you on? How long have you been taking it? Are you over 60? Have you noticed any of the warning signs? Write this down. Take it to your doctor. Start the conversation. If this video gave you information that could protect your heart, share it. Think about how many people over 60 are on statins. Your parents, your friends, your neighbors. They need to know this. A simple share could save someone from heart failure. Subscribe because my mission is giving you medical information that your doctors might not know yet. Information based on current research that hasn't filtered into practice. And comment which action step you're taking first. Comment echo if you're getting an echocardiogram. Comment COQ10 if you're starting supplementation. Comment doctor if you're scheduling an appointment. Thank you for watching. You now know something that could protect your heart. Something most patients don't know. Something most doctors don't talk about. Use this information wisely. Protect yourself. I'll see you in the next video where we continue taking control of your cardiovascular health together.